Hey everyone, Brandon here from TruckSafe. This past Tuesday, November 7th of 2023, Ohio residents voted to legalize marijuana for recreational use, making Ohio the 24th state to do so. But what will this mean for truck and bus drivers in the state? That's what we're discussing in this video, so stay tuned and do us a favor by hitting those like and subscribe buttons below. So according to preliminary news reports, so-called Issue 2, a law that would legalize the cultivation, manufacturing, testing, sale, and use of marijuana in Ohio for anyone 21 and up, has passed, with approximately 57% of the votes cast in Tuesday's race. Now, assuming that vote count is confirmed, the new law will take effect in 30 days. Now, as I mentioned, Ohio is the 24th state in the U.S. to legalize marijuana for recreational use, with at least 3 others, Florida, Nebraska, and South Dakota, looking to do something similar potentially in 2024. But what exactly does Ohio's new legalization law and others like it mean for marijuana use among commercial truck and bus drivers? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the answer is nothing really. The U.S. DOT and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the federal agencies that regulate interstate highway safety, have and continue to remain steadfast in their stance that marijuana remains unlawful for use by all interstate regulated truck and bus drivers. You see, as it stands, marijuana remains an illegal Schedule I substance as classified under the Federal Controlled Substances Act. This is despite the various states' efforts to legalize the substance for medicinal or recreational use within their borders. So with that in mind, in 2017, the U.S. DOT's Office of Drug and Alcohol Policy posted a notice, which remains in effect to this day, and states, in part, that recently some states have passed initiatives to permit use of marijuana for so-called recreational purposes. We've had several inquiries about whether these state initiatives will have an impact upon the Department of Transportation's long-standing regulation about the use of marijuana by safety-sensitive transportation employees, including pilots, school bus drivers, truck drivers, train engineers, subway operators, aircraft maintenance personnel, transit firearms security personnel, ship captains, and pipeline emergency response personnel, among others. We want to make it perfectly clear that the state initiatives will have no bearing on the Department of Transportation's regulated drug testing program. The Department of Transportation Drug and Alcohol Testing Regulation 49 CFR Part 40 does not authorize the use of Schedule I drugs, including marijuana, for any reason. Therefore, according to this notice, medical review officers will not verify a drug test as negative based upon learning that the employee used recreational marijuana when states have passed recreational marijuana initiatives. We also firmly reiterate that an MRO will not verify a drug test negative based upon information that a physician recommended that the employee use medicinal marijuana when states have passed medical marijuana initiatives. So, long story short here, despite state legalization of marijuana, the substance remains illegal for use among those subject to the federal drug and alcohol testing regulations, CDL drivers, for example. Those who test positive for marijuana will be prohibited from performing a safety-sensitive function, including driving, unless and until they complete the return to duty process. But what about non-CDL drivers? For example, those operating smaller vehicles in interstate commerce. What many fail to realize is that even those drivers who aren't subject to drug and alcohol testing rules are still prohibited from using marijuana by virtue of the physical qualification requirements in Part 391 of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. 49 CFR Section 391.41 says that a commercial driver is only qualified to operate a commercial vehicle if they don't use a Schedule I drug, which again includes marijuana. Now, as it turns out, this tension between federal and state law on the topic of marijuana legalization is leading to significant problems for many drivers and the carriers they work for. Looking at the latest data from the Federal Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, we see that over the course of the last 3 years, a whopping 130,414 commercial drivers have tested positive for marijuana and been put out of work because of it. And yet another issue that plays into the problem is CBD use among commercial drivers, which we discussed in another video. Be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. Suffice it to say, commercial drivers need to be aware that state legalizations of marijuana currently have no impact on the legality of the substance on the federal level. And so if you are a federally regulated commercial driver, it remains unlawful for you to use marijuana unless and until the federal government and the U.S. DOT change their stance on this topic. Until that point, marijuana use by commercial drivers will inevitably lead to them being prohibited from operating commercial vehicles. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this video. For even more in-depth information about these types of regulatory topics, be sure to check out our innovative online compliance courses for safety managers and for drivers over at trucksafeacademy.com. Also, be sure to check out our detailed compliance articles on our website at trucksafe.com and follow us on our various social media pages for the latest highway transportation news and analysis. Thanks for watching.